My sister and her husband moved in with our parents and got furious when I refused to help. They soon regretted it. "If you walk out that door tomorrow, you might never set foot in this apartment again," my mother shouted, her voice laced with fury. She had no idea that those words would feel like freedom to me, true liberation. Their anger flared when I refused, yet again, to be my sister's unpaid babysitter. Without hesitation, they took her side, dismissing my feelings as if they were insignificant. But when I finally packed my bags, moved out, and stopped covering their bills, reality hit them hard. Fresh out of university with a degree in economics, I had no intention of returning home. But life had other plans. At 22, I found myself back under my parents' roof. Thankfully, finding a job didn't take long. Within a week, I landed a position at a major marketing firm. The salary was decent, and performance bonuses were on the table. That very evening, over my mom's signature meat dish, I shared the good news. I told them my plan. Live at home for 3 months, save up, and then rent my own place. The moment the words left my mouth, the clatter of forks against plates ceased. My parents exchanged glances, their expressions darkening. "You want to move out?" Mom set her fork down carefully. "Maggie, you know I can only work part-time at the library. My back won't allow for more," she sighed. Dad cleared his throat. "And things aren't looking good at the factory. Layoffs are coming." Mom reached for my hand. "We could really use your help, sweetheart. Besides, living here means no rent. Isn't that the smart thing to do?" I stared at my half-eaten dinner. In a way, they were right. They were my parents, after all. I agreed to stay. And so, life settled into a cycle. Work, home, bills. My mother always had dinner ready. It was stable, predictable. Until last weekend. My sister Ellie arrived with her husband Noah and their children. The shift in my parents was instantaneous, as if someone had flipped a switch. "Ah, my golden ones!" my mother gushed, lifting 5-year-old Megan into her arms. Dad scooped up 3-year-old Oliver, grinning like a child himself. "Ellie, sweetheart, you look stunning. Tell us everything. How's Megan doing in kindergarten? What new words has Henry learned? How's your book club?" They clung to her every word, drinking in every detail. They had never once shown such enthusiasm for my life. Not when I made the dean's list, not when I won a leadership award. "Maggie, put the kettle on," Mom said absently, without even glancing at me. I turned toward the kitchen, my stomach twisting. I had seen this scene play out too many times before. Ellie had always been the shining star, 7 years my senior, the center of their universe. I was the afterthought. I remembered the day I proudly handed my mother a report card filled with straight A's. She barely glanced at it before turning back to Ellie, already deep in a discussion about university applications. "Well done, Maggie," she tossed over her shoulder. "Ellie, darling, have you thought about preparatory courses?" Even at 11, I understood my place. And when Ellie finally got into university, everything changed. "We're so proud of you, sweetheart," Mom had said, tears in her eyes. "We'll find a way to manage, won't we, Levi?" Dad nodded solemnly. "We'll take out a loan. Our Ellie deserves the best." I was 15 when I learned what that meant. "Maggie," Dad said one evening, his tone serious, "we need to cut back. The loan payments for Ellie's education are high. After that, while my classmates got new phones every year, I carried my battered flip phone until it completely died. My clothes came from second-hand stores. My Christmas presents consisted of socks and school supplies. But Ellie had everything she needed. "Your sister has to focus on her studies," they said. "We don't want her to worry about money." I got the message loud and clear. If I wanted anything, I had to earn it myself. I threw myself into competitions, scholarships, anything that could secure my future without relying on them. When I earned a full ride to university, my parents sighed with relief. Not pride, just relief that I wouldn't be another financial burden. Meanwhile, Ellie graduated, got a job, married Noah, and had 2 kids in quick succession. And now, every visit played out the same way. "Maggie, you'll watch Megan and Henry while Noah and I go shopping, won't you?" Ellie would say without a hint of hesitation. It's so rare for us to have time alone together. The first few times, I tried to suggest that our parents look after them instead. "Oh, sweetheart," Mom sighed, rubbing her lower back. "You know how hard it is for me to keep up with them, and your father needs his rest." And so, yet again, I spent my Saturday rewatching Frozen for the 100th time while Henry attempted to redecorate my walls with crayons. Ellie and Noah dined with friends, and my parents bustled around the kitchen, laughing, arguing about recipes, and occasionally asking, "Do you need anything?" as if they were doing me a favor. I told myself it was just once a month. Just one day of my life sacrificed for their convenience. A year passed like this. I almost got used to it. Almost. Then came the phone call that changed everything. It was a regular evening. I was washing dishes when Mom's phone rang. "Ellie?" "Oh, sweetheart, don't cry. Tell me what's wrong." Her voice trembled with concern. I paused, listening. Through her sobs, Ellie explained. Noah's company had collapsed. Their savings? Non-existent. Their rent? Unpaid. "Can we stay with you for a while?" Her voice was so loud I could hear it even through the phone. "Of course you can," Mom exclaimed without hesitation. "We'll find a place." A chill ran down my spine. I took a step forward, cleared my throat, and forced the words out. Maybe since they're moving in, this is a good time for me to move out. It was as if I had just suggested burning the apartment down. My mother's eyes widened in disbelief. "Maggie, don't talk nonsense. There's room for everyone. We're a family," my father added firmly. A family always supports each other in times of need. Our apartment was spacious, a stroke of luck for my parents back in the day. They had lived with their grandparents in a cramped 2-room Khrushchevka before my father, a factory foreman at the time, managed to secure a large 4-room apartment. It had been a near luxury in those days. After perestroika, they privatized it. But even a large apartment wasn't designed for 7 people. They arrived the next weekend with 3 carloads of stuff. I spent all of Saturday moving my belongings into the smallest room, a former storage closet crammed with old, forgotten household items. My old room? It had been transformed into a nursery. After all, children needed a place to play. 5-year-old Megan and 3-year-old Henry wasted no time turning the entire apartment into their personal playground. They charged through the hallways, shrieking with laughter while Ellie sprawled on the couch, flipping through channels or chatting on the phone, complaining about how exhausting this transition period was for her. "Henry, Megan, be quiet," I snapped when they burst into my room for the 10th time, scattering my work papers across the floor. "They're just playing, Maggie," Ellie replied dismissively, not even looking up from her phone. "Don't be such a sourpuss." After work, all I wanted was a little peace, to read, to watch something, to simply exist in silence. But instead, I was bombarded with children's songs blasting through the walls, the relentless pounding of little feet, and Ellie's cackling at whatever show she was binging. Noah, supposedly looking for work, spent most of his time hunched over his phone at the kitchen table, wearing a permanently furrowed brow. "It's tough right now," he'd sigh when anyone asked, but something will turn up soon. Turns out, over the years, he and Ellie had lived paycheck to paycheck, despite their high incomes. Lavish dinners, constant gadget upgrades, an endless stream of expensive toys for the kids. They had burned through their money like it would never run out. They had no savings, none. Every night, I lay in my tiny bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the chaos that had become my life, wondering how I had let myself end up here. And every time I thought about bringing up my move again, I remembered my parents' reaction and swallowed the words. Then the utility bills arrived. I stood in the kitchen, gripping the paper, my stomach twisting at the numbers. Almost double from last month. Water, electricity, heating. It had all skyrocketed. When I checked my bank account, my heart sank. My dreams of saving for my own place were evaporating before my eyes. That night, over dinner, I decided to speak up. "About the bills," I began, pushing a pea aimlessly across my plate. "They've doubled since last month. I can't cover them all on my own anymore. It's draining almost my entire paycheck." Ellie's fork clattered onto her plate. "Are you seriously complaining about money right now?" she snapped, her voice dripping with outrage. "Noah and I have lost everything, and you're sitting here thinking only about yourself." "I'm not complaining," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "But maybe we could figure out a fair way to split the costs?" Ellie's eyes burned with indignation. "I can't believe how selfish you are. We're going through the hardest time of our lives, and you're obsessing over money." "Family helps each other," my father added, his tone grave. "That's what matters most." "It's just pennies," my mother muttered. I stared at my plate, my pulse hammering. Swallowing the words clawing at my throat, I exhaled sharply. "Fine," I said. "Forget it." A week later, Noah finally found a job at an insurance company. The salary was far lower than what he used to make, but at least it was something. I foolishly thought things might start improving. I was wrong. "It's exhausting being alone with the kids all day." Ellie started complaining almost immediately. "Noah leaves at 8 and doesn't come home until 6. I don't get a minute of peace." At first, the requests were small. "Maggie, can you watch the kids while I run to the store?" "Maggie, mind if I grab a quick shower while you're with them?" Then, the small things became something more. I'd come home from work to find Ellie already dolled up, purse in hand. "Oh good, you're home," she chirped. "Noah and I are going to dinner with friends. Megan and Henry have eaten, but you'll need to put them to bed in an hour. We'll be back by 10. Weekends became a living nightmare. By Friday night, Ellie and Noah had their plans lined up, shopping trips, movies, dinners with friends, while I was left juggling tantrums, sticky fingers, and endless piles of toys. My parents, conveniently, started visiting relatives more often, slipping out of the house as soon as Ellie and Noah left. And so, once again, my Saturday was spent stopping Megan from drawing on the walls, while Henry screamed because I had cut his sandwich the wrong way. I reheated macaroni and cheese. I cleaned up spilled juice. I counted the days I had been trapped here. The 3 months I had planned to stay were long gone. A full year had passed, and I was still here, stuck. One evening at dinner, I had finally had enough. "I need to talk to you," I said, setting my fork down, my voice tight with frustration. "I can't do this anymore. The situation with the kids, it's not working for me." Ellie's head snapped up, eyes narrowing. "You don't like spending time with your own niece and nephew?" Her tone was laced with accusation, as if I had just confessed to some terrible crime. Mom patted her hand reassuringly. "Don't worry, sweetie. It's actually good for Maggie. She needs to learn how to handle children. She's going to be a mother herself one day after all. Consider it practice." And just like that, the conversation was over. Ellie moved on, launching into a story about her day. My parents listened, nodding and smiling, absorbed in every word. Noah chewed silently, staring at his plate, and I sat there, seething, feeling my frustration coil tighter and tighter inside me, ready to snap. On weekend mornings, my stomach would literally cramp at the thought of having to watch Puppy Patrol all day and break up fights while Ellie and Noah enjoyed themselves. But one Wednesday afternoon, everything changed. I was sitting at my desk, trying to focus on a marketing report despite my fatigue, when my colleague Emma stopped by to see me. "Maggie, do you want to do something interesting this weekend?" she asked, leaning on the edge of my desk. "Me and the guys are going to the mountains to go skiing. We'll leave Saturday morning, be back Sunday night. The slopes are great right now." For the first time in many months, I felt a flicker of joy. Friday night, I was packing in my small room. For the first time in a long time, I was actually excited about the upcoming weekend. I had just folded my warmest sweater when Ellie appeared in the doorway. "What are you doing?" she asked, glaring at my half-packed bag. "Going to a ski resort with some friends from work," I replied, continuing to pack. Her face darkened. "You need to cancel your trip." I looked up, surprised by her tone. "What? Why?" "Because," she began, crossing her arms, "Noah and I are going to Aunt Zoe's anniversary. It's her 60th birthday, and Mom and Dad are going too. Someone has to stay with Megan and Henry." I couldn't help myself. I laughed, a real loud laugh at the ridiculousness of the whole situation. "Are you kidding?" I asked, still folding my ski pants. "You seriously think I should cancel my plans just because you didn't bother to tell me about yours?" Her face flushed red. "That's not funny, Maggie. You're being completely unreasonable." "No, what's unreasonable is thinking that I would drop everything to be your personal Cinderella again," I replied calmly. Her mouth opened, but instead of words, only incoherent mumbling came out. After a few seconds, she turned and ran out of the room. I could hear her shouting from the hallway. A few moments later, heavy footsteps sounded, and my small room suddenly filled to capacity. Ellie, Noah, and my parents piled in the doorway. My mom already had that look of disappointment she so often reserved just for me. "Are you going skiing with your friends this weekend?" she asked incredulously. "Yes, I'm going with friends for the weekend." "But you can't," Ellie shrieked. "It's Aunt Zoe's anniversary." "No, it's your Aunt Zoe's anniversary," I corrected, turning around to face them. Why am I only hearing about this now? Why wasn't I even included in the discussion? Mom hesitated, as if unsure how to respond. Ellie stepped in, speaking with such disdain that I could barely contain myself. "We talked it all out beforehand. It's best for everyone. We're going to the party, and you're staying with the kids. It makes sense." "You talked it over?" I repeated slowly, emphasizing each word. "Without me, and decided what to do with my weekend. Very convenient." "It's not like you can take small children for such a solid evening," Ellie added, lifting her chin. "Aunt Zoe explicitly said no kids." I slung my bag over my shoulder. "That sounds like your problem. They're your kids, Ellie. Sort it out for yourself." "What does that mean?" Noah frowned, entering the conversation for the first time. "It means I'm going skiing like I planned. Your children are your responsibility, not mine. If you can't take them with you, don't go or get a babysitter." "A babysitter?" Ellie shrieked. "With what money?" "That's not my problem anymore," I said, feeling a surge of confidence. I looked at them all, realizing I could finally stand up for myself. "Let me be clear. I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm not going to be your free babysitter anymore. I've had enough of you canceling my plans, ignoring my wishes, and treating my life like it doesn't matter. If you need help, Ellie, that's your job as a parent. Stop assuming I'll always be here to pick up the slack." Silence hung in the room. They all stared at me as if I had spoken in some alien language. Ellie opened her mouth, but no words came. Mom looked like I had struck her. Dad was trying to disappear behind the door frame, and Noah stood with that same lost expression he'd worn ever since his company went bankrupt. "How can you?" Ellie gasped, covering her face with her hands. Noah muttered something about me being ungrateful, and my mother raised her voice. "How can you do this after all we've done for you?" "It's just irresponsible," Dad added, shaking his head. "Completely selfish." I stood with my bag on my shoulder, listening to my family turn into a Greek chorus of accusations. Selfish, they called me. Each word meant to sting, to push me back into submission. And then my mom delivered what she thought would be her final blow. "If you leave tomorrow, you may never come back to this apartment again." To everyone's surprise, I laughed. Not a nervous chuckle, but a real, hearty laugh. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt light. They looked at me as if I had lost my mind. Finally, wiping a tear of laughter from my eye, I said, "You know what the funny thing is? I've been wanting to move out of this apartment for months, but I just haven't had the courage, and now you've given me the perfect excuse. Thanks, Mom." "Get out!" Ellie screamed, her feigned sobs replaced by fury. "Just get out." "Gladly," I replied coldly. I pulled out my phone, dialed Emma's number, and put it on speaker so everyone could hear. "Hi, Emma," I said. "Sorry to call so late, but is the offer to stay at your place still on?" "Not just after skiing, but maybe for a few days?" "Sure," came her cheerful voice. "There's a spare room. You can come right now." "That's perfect," I replied. "I'll be at your place in 20 minutes.